Welcome to OC Tanner's Culture by Design podcast, where we discuss the research, practices, and strategies to help employees everywhere thrive at work. I am Becca Schweitzer, client strategist here at OC Tanner.
I'm Trevor Salmon, also a client strategist here at OC Tanner.
Really excited to be talking about our topic today, connecting offline employees to recognition and appreciation. Trevor and I both work with some of our very largest clients here at OC Tanner, helping them reach people at the highest levels of the organization, as well as your frontline team members who are working with customers. So this is a topic that we help clients with all the time. We have some experience in this area. Do you want to share yours?
Sure. So yeah, I've been at OC Tanner for 10 years now, but I didn't start out as a client strategist. I started in our manufacturing area, was a manager over one of our manufacturing shifts, and then now here in client success for the past 3 years.
I also have some background with one industry that is kind of really well known for having folks who aren't necessarily at the computer all day, which is in healthcare. And so my background is in HR, specifically in a healthcare environment. And so, yeah, looking forward to talking through some tips and strategies to reach this very important population.
Yeah, I think it's really important that we really focus in on the 80%, these frontline workers. They're really typically the face of an organization. People mostly interact with those frontline workers, and so it's important that they feel seen and recognized. We see a lot of burnout that happens within those positions, and so it's really important that we come up with strategies, or we really focus it on those areas of the organization, so that to make sure that they feel valued and seen.
Mm-hmm. And our institute has actually done some research around the experience of this particular population, which, as you mentioned, does make up about 80% of the workforce, which is pretty mind-blowing. But a couple of things that I was just reflecting on as we were talking about or thinking about this subject is it wasn't that long ago that 50% of frontline employees told us in our research at the Institute that they feel expendable at work. And in our most recent research, a lot of what the global workforce is sharing with us is that they're really craving and desiring like inspiration and this spark at work. You mentioned burnout being a challenge with this population, folks in these roles in particular. So I can just only imagine that they're craving connection, craving inspiration. And one of the things that the large majority of the workforce shares with us that recognition inspires them, whether it's something that they're personally receiving or they're just hearing about other people's accomplishments. So I think our topic today is very relevant and well researched by our institute. So let's dive into our first strategy, our first tip.
Yeah, really, what we want to talk about first is just looking at how we can utilize existing touch points and tools to recognize those employees, but then also share the recognition that has been happening within that group. A couple different areas that I've seen personally when I was in our manufacturing group is just utilizing team huddles. Team huddles are a pretty big part of a lot of organizations where they'll have a team huddle either the start of their day, mid shift, the end of their day, to talk through different subjects or talk through different things that are happening within their team. And we always made it a point to recognize at the very first of the huddle. We would spend the first couple minutes doing recognition. Whether it be me as the leader recognizing people within the team, or if it were team members that were wanting to recognize other people within their team for the help that they saw, that they received, or that they saw that they just wanted to highlight. And it's just a really quick, easy way to utilize an existing tool or existing practice just to incorporate recognition into that.
Mm-hmm. And I know leaders in those industries are oftentimes really pressed for time. Like they have a short team huddle window. It might be, I don't know, 5 minutes probably. So I think this can be as simple as like name one person who you've really relied on this week or who's really stepped up. And it's just sharing someone's name really quick and we kind of move on. And then maybe you as the leader or something that we're going to talk about in this episode today, you as the leader, maybe a team lead or a recognition champion on your team can submit that into the like formal system, but at least there's kind of a very quick like appreciation moment. And it doesn't have to be long-winded. It can be as super simple and still be meaningful and impactful.
One thing that I did that I would do during my one-on-ones when I met with my team members is give them the opportunity to be able to give recognition if they needed to. As we know, this population, they don't have a computer in front of them all the time. Some of them may have a phone, or I would imagine most of them all do have a phone, but they may not be utilizing the phone to send recognition. But a lot of the times during that one-on-one, I would give the individual an opportunity to use my device, my computer, have them log in and submit some of those recognitions that they wanted to submit, just so it is captured and the person that's receiving that recognition feels a little bit more seen and heard. It's one thing to say thank you to somebody face to face, but then when somebody goes the extra mile and submitting recognition, whether it be an e-card or nomination, whatever it may be, that receiver of that recognition just feels that much more seen and valued as an individual or as a contributor to their team.
I think that's a great idea, making space and encouraging setting aside that time for someone to be able to submit that real quick in your one-on-one. One thing that's really neat too about our Culture Cloud technology that I'll just mention for the audience is we have some new capabilities in Culture Cloud and some great tools for leaders to be able to really quickly distill what recognition is happening on my team and call out, I've seen a shout out for this person and a shout out for that person. I just want to bring attention to it. I think also the team huddle, quote unquote, it might not look like that for all teams as in like a formal huddle. I know that with healthcare in particular, retail, manufacturing, some of these leaders have really large direct report groups, and it can be hard to meet, like see everyone and have that FaceTime and gather together. So I think using the term quote unquote team huddle loosely, there's other channels that might be helpful to share some of this stuff, like in a team newsletter or in a weekly recap where you're calling attention to some of the folks who on your team who might have received recognition or might have had some contributions that would be worth calling out. I think you can think through some other ways to do that, and our technology really helps make that an easy, smooth process, which is awesome and helpful, I think. What other places do you feel like we should be recommending people consider where they could highlight recognition in their work areas?
That's a great question, Becca. I think as an organization, you want to look at those different areas where your team members are gathering. Um, are there break rooms? Are there screens that are out there among the campus of where you're working, where you can put signage? We've seen a lot of value in adding QR codes to some of the announcements and different things. The QR code can go a really long way with promoting like the mobile app. Like we've mentioned, as we've talked about, a lot of these people, they're not in front of a computer all the time. So the mobile app could be a really good, easy way for them to be able to get engaged in the platform and send out recognition. And so putting that QR code in some of those areas where team members are gathering, break rooms, team boards, screens across the organization where they can just quickly scan that QR code, download the app, and then start recognizing. Those are quick, easy ways.
Yeah, those are some great tangible ways. I think also you have some experience in helping your clients with some ways to remove some of the barriers
Yeah.
into digital tools that your team members are using. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so one of the clients that I work with, Norton Healthcare, they utilize a program through Cypher Health, their rounding tool, and they really wanted to put recognition into their flow of work. It's important that you don't make recognition an extra step that you have to go through and do, and you want to remove those barriers. And they were able to remove a lot of those barriers with recognition by integrating our program through Cypher Health. So as they're going through and doing their rounding with their employees, they can easily go through and send out recognition through the Cypher Health app. And it gets tied directly with our recognition platform. So everything is tracked, everything is still processed through Culture Cloud, but the face of it is for them during that is that Cypher Health app.
Yeah, so existing touch points and tools, thinking through what are the systems that my team members are already using. What are the points of the day that we're already gathering? What are the visual things that they're already, walking past, leveraging all of that stuff? And I will share that in a not too far back episode, we talked a little bit about another kind of no-brainer thing that I would encourage leaders to think through, which is leveraging the larger company-wide events, company-wide initiatives, company-wide, celebrations, those are kind of an easy win for leaders where they can tack on to that and recognize their team members for things like Employee Appreciation Day, for things like National Hospital Week, for Manufacturing Week. Those are simple, like no-brainer, I think, moments to be sharing appreciation, especially with your frontline team members. And check out that episode if you haven't listened to it yet, a few episodes back.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about just I've been here at OC Tanner for 10 years, and a few years back we hit 95 years, and what we were able to do by doing a like a pop-up shop basically, where you were able to pick out a different like a piece of merchandise to celebrate that had some different logos on it to celebrate the organization turning 95, and we were able to select a gift. It was a really fun way that we were able to engage in that, and that's just one of those many ways that, as you said, of some of those different areas where you can really tie recognition into those company-wide celebrations.
Yeah, totally. Thinking about the load of frontline leaders is
Oh,
so challenging. They're very pressed for time. Like I mentioned, they have big direct report groups. They have a lot on their plate. There's a lot that they're tasked with. So, one of our recommendations, and that we see some of our clients leveraging, is recognition champions. And so, I think this is a really good thing to consider if it's not already a practice in your organization. The idea is that frontline leaders can leverage some of their team members to become recognition champions, also sometimes called culture ambassadors, also sometimes called, engagement committee within the team. So I think this is where some of that load can be shared because while leaders do have some responsibility to set the pace with recognition and be sharing appreciation within their team and cultivating those kind of like conversations and recognition moments in their huddles, I think they can also empower their people to do the same. And I love this for like a stretch project for someone who might be interested in this or naturally aligned to wanting to kind of create a fun environment on their team, giving them some tools, empowering them to be the go-to person to help educate their coworkers on where do we use recognition tools? Have you gotten the mobile app yet? Have you like going around and asking have you thanked anybody this week? Has anyone been particularly helpful for you? That doesn't have to be only on the leader. We know they're pressed for time, and we know in certain industries that shift supervisor is oftentimes more of that role, anyways, than perhaps a formal manager. So, Trevor, from your experience, share a little bit about where you see recognition champions or culture champions being particularly helpful with frontline groups.
yeah, like as you mentioned, your managers aren't going to be, they can't see everything all the time. A lot of them are whether they have a huge downline, they're in a lot of meetings, they're over multiple shifts, they're not seeing everybody within there. And so I think it's really important that they do get some help with that recognition side of things and finding those culture champions. You those can be identified through Culture Cloud by looking at maybe the people that have been utilizing the most within the team. Or maybe there's somebody within your team that is looking for an opportunity to develop into a leader, and you want to help them develop a little bit more, and so you give them a little bit more responsibility with giving out recognition. But I've also found it really cool when other leaders outside of your normal department are recognizing people within that department.
Mhm.
Um, where you have a leader maybe that is in another team but observes something really good happening within the team and wants to shout it out. And one of the cool new technologies that we have within Culture Cloud is that leader broadcast, where a leader can easily go in, broadcast out what they have seen to an individual or to a group of people of like, hey, I just wanted you to be aware. I saw this. This is really cool that your team is doing this, and I want to recognize them. When that recognition comes from people outside of your normal team, I think it carries a little bit more value when that happens.
Totally. And you know what else I really like about broadcast is we were talking about leveraging team huddles. Like when people on your team are recognized, easily sharing
Oh
that
yeah.
through email and kind of quote unquote broadcasting it out to your senior leaders, sharing with other teams or sharing with the team itself. with your perspective as a leader about why that's important and how, this fits into the larger mission. So this is a good segue into our third tip because we talked about broadcasting recognition beyond your team. I think also what's really important to remember about this particular population that we're trying to reach with recognition, they're the face of your organization for a lot of industries, to your patients, in retail, to customers. And so oftentimes it's important to spend some time thinking about how can we make sure that the customers and the patients are able to share recognition back with your team members, not only you broadcasting it out from your team, but also how can we make sure that those appreciation moments are shared from customers to our team.
Yes, you're absolutely right there, Becca. These workers are the face of most of these organizations. They're interacting the most with customers, and it's one thing to be able to receive recognition from your manager or the people that you work shoulder to shoulder with. But how cool would it be to be able to receive recognition from somebody that you helped out? From whether it be a transaction at the bank, whether it be a patient that wanted to give you a shout out for the amazing care that you gave at the side of the hospital bed. I feel like that recognition goes a really, really long way into the morale of that person and just their drive, almost like their why of why they do the work, of how that could feel. And so, yeah, I love this new feature that we've recently introduced this last year, our Say Thanks, where it does give the ability for an external customer to be able to give recognition to those people that they're interacting with, because it does it bridges that gap, and it will be cool as a manager to see your team members doing that because you know that they're holding the name well of the organization that they're working for.
Totally. And even if you don't have a technology that can facilitate that recognition, there's other ways that you can make sure that your team members are recognized by customers and the folks that they're serving. I don't know about you, but when I go to the grocery store, when I'm out shopping, traveling, maybe it's just because of the nature of the industry and the work that we do, it's always on my mind when I do see standout service or someone did something kind of above and beyond for me. I do want to try to find a way to say thank you to them. And I think making sure that you have tools for your customers to be able to recognize your team is really important. It doesn't have to be built into the technology, though I think that's amazing for it to be seamless and automated in that way. Even just something tangible, a little card that says thank you, or maybe there's a thing for a customer to sign, or a board of some sort where they can write a shout out to someone and pin it up for everyone to see. We hear this a lot with kind of the customer surveys that come after you receive a particular service, making sure there's a forum for them to be able to share some specifics about their experience and why your team member did such a great job. I think is really important. So, do you want to recap kind of our key takeaways?
Yeah, it's looking at the different areas that we talked about. Use those existing tools and moments to embed that recognition. You don't need to completely go outside the box. You can look at what you're currently utilizing and seeing how you can incorporate recognition into it. Number two is just looking at that champions network, that culture champions network, or the recognition champions network, however you want to call it, within your organization, but really leveraging on those people that are utilizing the tool really well and helping those around them catch that same vision, so they can really give out recognition. And then lastly, that we just talked about is just extending that recognition by including your customers, bridging that gap between your customer and your frontline workers, because it really will be such an impactful moment for that frontline worker to receive that recognition from a customer. I've seen it firsthand with my wife. She's a nurse, and so she's seen different thank you notes, little gifts that she's received, and just the amount of I don't know, sense of pride that she feels after she gets something like that. So I've seen it firsthand, and it can go a really long way.
Cool. Love it. Well, thank you, audience, for listening, and we will see you next month.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of OC Tanner's Culture by Design podcast. OC Tanner is the global leader in software and services that improve workplace culture through meaningful employee recognition experiences. If you want your organization to become a place where people can't wait to come to work in the morning, go to octanner.com.